Good night and welcome to the UKEL Four Nations. There is not much left to go in our winter season. It is time tonight for the lower bracket finals, our last best of three before we move on to Manchester this Saturday for and grand finals. I'm Temporal. I'm joined by Thousand Eyes and Bloxer tonight, my analytical desk, as we figure out a game I don't think we were expecting to watch tonight. Belfast Storm up against the 200 Bandits. How are we doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm excited because I'm sure there will be shenanigans going on throughout this game.
Yeah, I'm sad. I've
You're
been watching
sad?
all of the games this split, and the one I miss is where Warwick gets picked and played and wins, and I missed it, and I come back to 30 DMs from people telling me to tune in, and I couldn't, and I'm devastated. So I'm sad, but I'm hopeful that we'll get to see it again.
You heard it, audience. We do need to put Max in broadcast jail. Just here, forever, always. It's the only way to catch all the Warwick gameplay. Maybe signups can bring that one back out tonight. Let's have a look at our rosters for this evening, starting with the 200 Bandits. Tessa, any thoughts?
I mean, I'm interested mostly to see 200 Bandits just because they're coming off of a loss more than anything. Because now they're coming 0-2 into this versus on the other side, there's been a little bit of a spring in the step getting to this point. So while I'm not entirely sure how things are going to go, I'm very curious just from that perspective.
All right, and Blocks are taking special care to introduce any Warwick players in the league. This is Belfast Storm's roster.
Yeah, Belfast Storm have been on a really interesting ride through the split, where up until very recently, it had kind of been par for the course for them. They were beating the teams who were standings-wise worse for them, and then losing to people who were better, up until this past couple weeks, where all of a sudden things have been looking better and better, culminating in that win up against Broad and Friends. Like you said, a brilliant performance on the Warwick, the best champion in the world by Synapse. And I mean, this whole roster's been looking pretty good recently. Protection, he's been kind of the main focus of this roster throughout the entirety of it. And the whole team really coming together at this point. I mean, if you're going to put it on, this is the point at which to do it.
It couldn't be a better time. And, I'd slate the Warwick gameplay if I hadn't been, one of those AP Warwick abusers all the way back in 2012. Whoops.
Oh.
Anyway. We've introduced our rosters. This best of three tonight does have a lot on the line. People do want to come to our live finals. And, the play in that arena will be an experience and a half. So, with that in mind, we're not fearless yet. We've got a best of three to play. We've mentioned the Warwick. Are there any other big pieces, big lane matchups we want to talk about tonight? Start with you, Tess.
I mean, I think I want to just see how the jungle works out, because Longfor has been kind of up and down in my experience of just can we see consistency? Can we see the pop off there, or are we going to see struggles again? And I think that really is going to impact the flow of the game.
Yeah, showed up huge on Viego, but then sort of ups and downs through various series.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of pressure on the jungle and the rest of Belfast Storm tonight. We mentioned Protection did so well. But with that in mind, the rest of the pieces were what made the difference up against Broad and Friends. Bloxer, would you do anything different? What's going to be the big thing on your mind tonight?
I'm pretty happy, actually, with the way that Belfast Storm have been drafting for themselves recently. I think they've been putting together some pretty good compositions overall. Pretty standard, nothing too wild. I mean, the Warwick was out of left field. That was a bit wild, but it's just an Ambessa counter in that situation. Everything else for them has been pretty standard. Not necessarily the same thing that we've really been seeing out of 200 Bandits. It feels like 200 Bandits have been a lot happier to really push the bow out, do weird things. They've had some severe gameplay. We've seen the Darius in the jungle. It's been popping up a little bit more frequently recently. It's actually not doing that badly. Obviously, it looked horrible versus Venom Crest, but most things look horrible versus Venom Crest. So I think it's going to be an interesting little bit of a difference between these two teams, where you're looking at very standard drafting, what's in the meta for one squad, and the others really don't care about that, much happier to push the boat out.
Okay. With that in mind, I think after being pushed 3 times for my prediction, we should probably take a look at our predictions for tonight. What are we going to have?
people need to know that you were pushed again and again to give one.
Yeah, both me and Bloxer had ours in, and we were still waiting on
It
you.
was still waiting.
I don't know why it took me so long. Yeah, tonight, I think, are we expecting it to sort of, all right, to get some division on the desk? Who's going to win game one? Who's going to lead out of the gate?
Oh, I think Belfast Storm, just because I think they're gonna be a little bit more consistent on the day. Just off, if I had to put my money one way or the other, that's where I put it. But honestly, I've said 2-1 Belfast Storm. I could not be less confident in that decision.
I'm not surprised. It took me a few minutes to get here. I was like,
Oh, we know.
I expect it's going to be close. I expect some great games. But whose Nexus is actually going to go down? Bloxer? Is it going to be a sided issue, which kind of leans towards, one team gets one, the other equalizes, and the other capitalizes? Like, how's the series going to get to that 2-1?
I mean, this prediction is just because they picked Warwick, right? The extra win is because they're a Warwick team.
This is why yours went in first.
Well, of course, there were no questions here. Aside from that, which I will be honest, was legitimately the deciding factor between these two teams, the reason it had to come down to Warwick supremacy was because it seems like it's going to be so close. 200 Bandits, they've looked like the better team overall, all split long, but they've not had as good a time of it in the playoffs. They are coming off of a loss. Maybe they're coming in a little bit cold. Belfast Storm, they've had a great look since they get down into the losers bracket. From that moment on, it's just been going better and better for them. That's why I think they're going to come out on top, and I would really like to see them pick up the first win. Even if you end up losing game 2, I think having that momentum, continuing on that momentum and showing that, yeah, 200 Bandits have sat above you in the standings all year, but they're not better than you at this point, is going to be very important for the momentum of the series going on.
Magic. That is something I would like to see this evening. That's going to be a big thing. We've spoken a little of Broad and Friends and their untimely exit from the tournament when very few of us expected it. And we look down those names and we see like Four Nation Illumina. We look across to Belfast Storm, and especially in the top half of the map, that is a storied 3-player unit that has been around for a long time. And with Belfast Storm coming out so strong in that series, I'm really excited to see where Limsey, Dunlow's and Synapse end up today. They've been in and out of this org and the group of friends around it for a very long time, and I'm expecting to see something special tonight. That's where my 2-1 comes from, because I'm not sure it's enough on its own, but at 45 minutes and Nexus Tower's barely standing, that's kind of what I expect.
Yeah, I mean, I think, again, it's also just like that momentum coming into this. They've 2-0'd down twice coming into this. Whereas, like, you look at the other side, 200 Bandits, they just went 0-2, and they dropped down. And I think people forget how much that kind of momentum can matter on the mental stack of things, because how many times have we seen teams in any game, let alone League, just do really well, and then they hit a snag, and they can't fix it. And I think the fact that we've seen that success from Belfast Storm is kind of what makes me lean one way or the other.
That's fair. I would normally call that the NA Internationals effect, which is horrible, and I'm sorry, that wasn't meant to be targeted. Team Liquid fans, I noticed the one Team Liquid fan in our production chat has removed their jacket, which is 10 out of 10. Nearest airport at all times. But yeah, it's the blazing hope into immediate we've been solved. And it is a lot of pressure to be under compared to the inverse EU, where everyone is just like, what have we done? We're the worst region in the world into a decent week 2, which is just absolutely El Clasico. And every time it gives us a heart attack, and it's not okay. Blocks of what might be okay is me getting my words the right way around, and also some of the power picks we haven't mentioned. We've spoken about the Warwick and its Ambassador counter. Looking down Belfast Storm, last series was pretty big linchpin on a tanky top, like a disruptor, someone who will just push a side lane and demand time. Those were your Warwicks and Udyrs. Then Maokai and Limsey's Azu, signature champion from when this guy was the rookie of the split, that had everyone staring, seeing how he was going to do. Are they going to get through draft tonight, or are we going to see stuff like what Broad and Friends tried, where they tried to take away those picks, both in bans and on their own team?
Yeah, I'm really hoping if you want to see a victory for 200 Bandits, that you just take those away. I can't quite remember which team we were watching. I won't do the player the disservice of calling out the name, but a couple of times we've been watching mid laners recently play Azir and be like, I'm sorry, but not everybody can be Limsey. Not everybody can be this guy on this champion. He's genuinely amazing on it, and it's been so much fun to watch. I think at some point you just have to concede that, look, we don't have the answer. The greatest thing about the Azir is that he can just sit in lane and chill. You're not particularly under threat. You know, like Rod and Friends, they tried to do things like the Akali into it, which could technically get a lead, but Limsey's not going to let you get a lead with it, and then you don't get a lead on something like an Akali. Well, now you're useless. Limsey's still doing great. I think also Protection on these hyper carries, the Jinx specifically, another champion that I think maybe just get rid of. Things are still pretty favored over towards the blue side at the moment. We'll see which way round the teams are going to be, and you know, if that's going to really impact on things at the moment. But with the Skarner, with the Callista all sort of dropping off a little bit in the meta at the moment, I think I'm a lot less worried about that Forever's on the red side. And I think if you're looking at 200 Bandits, just get rid of those big signature picks. If you can get something a little bit less comfortable on Limsey, he still looked good. Limsey's still one of the better mid laners that we have, but he hasn't reached those high heights as he can get on things like the Azir.
All right, Tessa. High heights to watch. 200 Bandits have got to take the picks away. Are 200 Bandits allowed to just pick on top? Darius jungle, Kindred jungle? Are they going to get away with this tonight?
I would imagine not. Like, at a certain
I don't think
point,
so either.
At a certain point, you've got to shut down the silly stuff and get people, you know, to play the game that you want them to play. And I think if you're recognizing, hey, they really lean heavily on this thing, let's just remove it here and force, you know, part of the draft is forcing the enemy team to play your game. And I think Belfast Storm have the capabilities to do that better than some of the other teams that 200 Bandits have played.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. Venom Crest shut that stuff down real fast.
Yep.
It was pretty brutal. We're going to kick it to a quick 3-minute break. Draft is that far away, so it won't be too long. Get the kettle on, but we'll be seeing you again real soon. All right, straight into draft.
Yeah, already seeing the Urgot taken away, so we are already targeting
Poor
some
Loopy.
shenanigans here. Yeah, we are making sure again. It's kind of just like we said. Belfast Storm are forcing them to, in some way, shape, or form, play the game that Belfast Storm want to play.
I would not be surprised into a forced Ornn and then an Udyr to counter. And Bloxen, we are getting what we want. Protection will not be running back the Jinx from their previous 2-0 over Broad and Friends.
No, the Jinx had looked just insanely good for him, and it really has the entire split as well. Just seems like the sort of pickup that you could just keep running back again and again and again. I am actually quite surprised to see this. The Skarner is going to be banned away now. It's very good for Lankafoa, but we really haven't been seeing it banned out on the blue side particularly often. Now, 200 bandits, yeah, there we go. Like we were saying, just get rid of those top 2 picks, and now, as much as Belfast Storm, they're good on some other stuff, this is the top echelon of their picks taken straight off the board.
All right, the bans we're missing that Broad took first phase against Belfast every single time are Vi, Jinzhou, and Quarky. We'll have to see if those do come to pass. It looks like Protection will be running the Ezreal that has seen a huge amount of attention our playoff so far.
Yeah, I mean, it's also just giving carry potential over to Protection there as well. You know, the Jinx is not available. Let's get something else that has that ability to carry and has that also has the ability to try and like play in the early game against a lot of different AD carries. Gonna be going up against the Ashe, which is gonna have some more poke, which is not gonna be as fun for the Ezreal, but you're at the very least going to have that mobility, and getting away from both Syndra and Ashe stuns is very, very crucial.
Something that led to Broad and Friends' downfall was definitely picking an Ezreal into a composition of huge tanky boys that the Ezreal could not kill. We'll have to see if 200 bandits pick up a few of those later on. Back to Belfast now.
Ooh, okay. Now this pickup, it's something that Donlossi plays occasionally. Yeah, you want to pair it up with the Orianna in this situation. This combo is incredibly good, and I like that it forces Dunlossi to be active on the map. Sometimes he does fall a little bit into the trap of just sort of allowing the game to happen to him, not really pushing it on forwards in the same way that some of our other junglers do. You can't do that on the Nocturne. You have to get ahead. Oh boy. At the same time, though, if you want to go for a wombo combo and then all of a sudden there's a Lamb's Respite sat on the floor right in front of you, yeah, that does make it a lot harder to execute this one.
I think it's a great pick. Yeah. I mean, you take the Kindred and it's like, yeah, cool. You have a big combo that has so much, you know it is coming. If it is going to, yeah, it's so telegraphed. You just get to sit there and say like, oh, the lights are off, be ready to push R. And then your whole game plan, so far at least, is going to be taken off the board.
It's a weird one because Kindred does stop you coming in on the jungler and just like picking in rotation, which is, you know, something that this combination is pretty good at. However, it doesn't stop you annihilating the mid laner or someone away from the jungler, and also it gives you the easy out. You can just throw the shockwave into the Lamb's Respite and clean up afterwards. This is I guess becoming a battle of execution. Belfast Storm starting to double down on things that have been banned against them in the past now.
Yeah, I wonder if somebody's going to want to go a little bit more aggressive in this bottom lane, try pick up something like the Karma to just be able to get a lot of poke going on. We've still got the vast majority of the good engage supports available. The North Plus has been something we've been seeing quite a lot. Rel, Leona, all of those are available. I just do feel like the Karma could give you a little bit of extra, although both these teams kind of needing a tank at the moment. We've been talking a lot about the more aggressive picks in the top lane. Yeah, things like the Scion, the Ornn still being available does mean that you're not really worrying too much about which one you're going to be able to get. And I do like the Scion in combination with things like the Kindred. You give yourself a lot of front line to be able to play with, and there's just another level of you can't kill him. You can't kill him once, now you can't kill him again, and now you have killed him, but he's still dealing damage to you. It just really increases the amount that you can get out of Loopy on this champion.
Do we think Loopy is free from the Ornn gameplay? Is he out? Has he got a different condition this game, or is it exactly the same?
It might be, honestly. And honestly, I do like the Scion, because we also talked about, yeah, what does Ezreal do into tanks? Not a whole lot. The Scion is going to get tanky no matter what you do. Even if you put him down, his W passive is going to give him a lot of extra health. Yeah, going into an Aatrox, it's kind of whatever. You're not going to die in that lane, realistically. Or even better, you're still not dying, realistically. and you just get to scale up. And I think really what we're looking at is 200 Bandits. Their laning phase is not going to be ideal, but they get to that mid game, especially with Renata on top of that. Your team fights look incredibly good because you can't kill the backline with the Nocturne ult because of the Kindred. You can't whittle down this Scion very easily. And now if you just try and run at them as a full team, Renata ult will stop that entirely.
It is in. That is a pretty excellent Renata pickup. Completely agree. Target access. Belfast have got tools. I'm not sure the tool bag is big enough. Block, so what's your impression of these compositions as we come into our first game?
It's all about the picks right here for Belfast. If they can get picks before these fights start, before the Kindred's able to use that Lamb's Respite to ruin all of their plans, then they should be okay. The rest of the composition works really well. And the thing with an Orianna composition is that it only has to work once. You only have to have used that Lamb's Respite in a previous team fight and not have it for another skirmish that happens for a massive shockwave to happen. Protection cleans up, the combo works perfectly, and then you move on. It still is a very risky composition to have gone for, but hey, it's game one of a best of three. I think the Belfast Storm, they do have enough. 200 Bandits composition, though, as we've been saying, it's way easy to execute overall. I'm a lot less worried about what they're going to be able to do with this one, especially once we get to the team fights.
All right, that's pretty conclusive one way or another. Tess, are you on the same line?
I kind of am. I think this game is going to be a question. It's going to be a game of chicken, really, right? Like, these cooldowns are important, right? If you use Kindred ult to save yourself at a point where it's not impactful, now you've got Orianna Nocturne who are going to ruin your day. Exactly. If you use the Renata ult at the wrong time, that tool is now gone to stop the engage. But if you don't use those and then they just try and force the Orianna Nocturne, it's not going to work. It is about how you're using these cooldowns and making sure you're using them in ways that you know you'll get something out of it.
A delicate balance is what I'm hearing. Big cooldowns and two of the biggest teams, the biggest surprises of our league this split. This is the lower bracket finals. This is the best of three of the evening. The winner will be going to our grand finals. Take it away, Trajan. Take it away, Rev.
Thank you, Temporal. I'm Trajan, that's Rev. And this draft, I'm going to be honest, I feel like this is a 200 Bandits Omega Giga Slammer of a draft. I love everything they did here. Rev, I'm not going to elaborate any more than that because no one pays to hear me analyze the game. What do you think about the draft?
Well, honestly, you said it all. Like, I agree, and I really liked this angle on that as well. It's way easier to execute. You have very straightforward win conditions, and sometimes this can be to your detriment because if the enemy knows what you're about to do, then hey, they can counter that. But the enemy is pretty straightforward as well, right? You want to press all of your ultimates onto the same targets. Ideally, it's going to be the 3 carries. Ideally, they're going to perish after that, and ideally, you're going to get the first Nexus, right? But in a perfect world, somebody said men like me would not exist, but this is not a perfect world. This is just Belfast Storm versus 200 Bandits.
Not a world I want to live in, Rev. I'll tell you that much. But I think especially this R5 Renata just hits so well for me. Having the bailout for an Ashe or a Kindred in the later fights, another way to disrupt the follow-up, another way to protect the carries, and aggressive potential as well, like with CC chaining into what the Ashe has to offer. I just really love this for Bandits, to be honest. If they then lose this game, I am going to be having serious worries about them, honestly. If they cannot make a draft like this function from what we've seen from them, that is what's really going to make me worried. Because low-key, I think everyone is discounting 200 Bandits a little too quickly. I'll be honest. I think that from what we've seen through most of this split has been exceptional for them. Only in that 2-0 where they lost to Venom Crest did we really see them kind of exposed somewhat. But this is not Venom Crest. This is not 9-0. This is 5-4 Belfast Storm. And I think the Bandits are still very strong.
Yeah, I mean, everyone is getting slapped versus Venom Crest, right? It's kind of unfair to...
Yeah, we've all done it. We've been there.
Yeah, I mean, me, last Thursday, I got slapped by Venom Crest as well. So, another Thursday night for me. But as for the rest, like, they were, for me, at least in regular season, maybe the third best team. I really thought that Broad and Friends would be here today. And then we had, like, maybe a different discussion. But of course, form matters, and also comfort matters, because we really love to yap about drafts. But sometimes we look in a solo queue game, we see our draft is the most disgusting thing we've seen on this
Yeah.
earth, and then suddenly you start the game 10-0 and the enemy FFs.
Yeah.
Well, the same can happen in competitive games, but the enemy just FFs mentally and then just slowly bleeds out.
I'll be honest, nothing predicts my one ranked games more, Rev, than if my draft sucks. I'll be honest, that is the highest direct proportion to whether I'm going to win the game. Doesn't make any sense, but we just have to live with it. As so far, 200 Bandits are pushing up in the spots. I would expect that from Ash plus Enchanter, and that has been one of the other factors about 200 Bandits, is their early games have been crispy. Lunkifer is so active, even on the scalers, and the lanes do generally perform pretty darn well.
Yeah, and that's what Belfastone was doing well as well. But on the other side, like, they usually don't have to do anything, and they draft for that. They draft to just chill in the early game, and then suddenly, boom, your Ezreal is 2 items, your Orianna is 2 items, your Nock is an item and a half, level 11, and you can just press your buttons and win the game. Thing is, can you do that when you're lagging behind? Because I am again reminded of last year Worlds, where like G2 Esports were perma-slamming this same exact combo. I think it was slightly better then. I think it got nerfed after that. And sometimes you just can't force it 24/7. If the enemy knows how to respond, then it's done so. And I really like the Kindred and the Renata, because if you don't get the reset with a Nocturne, then you're kind of just useless. You're just a light switch.
Yeah, exactly. You fall behind in gold. Those ult combos don't actually get the kills you need them to get off rip, and then it's the Kindred ult comes in, the Renata ult, potentially the Syndra stuns come through, Scions ulting in from the flank. You know, all goes wrong very quickly, and the Nocturne Orianna comp doesn't really have another way to play the game. You know, they've got a combination, and it does one thing. If that thing don't work, we're going next.
Yeah, and you don't really scale. Yeah, you can say that Orianna maybe scales, but does she outscale Syndra? I'd say not really after the slight Syndra rework, which happened. I think it was last year. I've lost how time moves in this world. But
We've all lost the concept of that long ago.
yeah, so I'm not sure you really outscale with Syndra. The Ezreal is a weird case scenario. Usually it's really nice, but it really depends on your skill and the enemy skill to dodge everything. And Loopy might have to burn his flash here.
Yeah, gets out of that chain. I wondered if he'd have the distance, but does get away from it. Dunlosi with a good timer. Lunkifer coming through to see if there's any more work to be done here. Might actually take the opportunity to get aggressive in the jungle with JB rotating over first. There is no movement from Limsey. Out comes the fear once again from Dunlosi. JB comes through, lands the stun with the W. Another few autos coming through. One more from Lunkifer, and it's first blood from a timely invade for the Kindred.
And not only the first blood, you also give Syndra assist, that's more stacks. You make sure that Dunlosi is getting instantly punished for spending his flash in the top side. And that's 2 stacks in a row, because of course the enemy jungler has been stacked. And then the Grump is right there for the taking. All of that just from a move from JB.
Yeah, absolutely. Love the timer from 200 Bandits. Love the way they used that priority to get the advantage here. I must say, Rev, it is bold for Synapse to pick the Ornn into Loopy. For anyone to pick the Ornn into Loopy is quite the statement. The man has certainly been doing nasty things with Ornn all the way through the season, but Synapse is you know, a very well-tenured top lane player himself. Will, you know, can sit back and play calm and collected if needed, as well as playing a bit chaotic when the situation demands it as well. So we'll see how Loopy can do off the classical Ornn, and if Synapse can get the same value that the 200 Bandits top laner usually gets.
I mean, I think that Sion just gives value inherently as a champion. It's very, very hard not to get any value from the champion, because you can just press your W, stand in front of the enemy team. If the enemy team needs 2 more seconds than usual to kill you, then congrats, you're already valuable. Like, you've created space for your team. There is a reason why the boss was made famous by this champion. It's excellent at creating space. But how much space do you need for this Ezreal, for this Orianna to go through the Loopy and his Sion? How much time does Limsey need to do? I think only Dunlosi could be a proper threat. But if Dunlosi is dealing with the enemy front line, who's dealing with the enemy back lane?
Yeah, who's flying the plane right now? You know, if Dunlosi has too many jobs, there's simply nothing he can do. He is a oh my word, that's in the final. I think the Snakes are flying the plane to Manchester right now. But Dunlosi is, a very veteran player in the scene, is an in-game leader, is someone who, despite some would say unconventional approach to jungle pathing, is able to control that early and mid game very, very well. And Nocturne is a pick that he can do that on. But I worry about putting the entire game on his shoulders, already being kind of the lead-in of this central Nocturne Orianna combo. He's got to get a lot of stuff right in game one.
Yeah, it's going to be harder and harder with the Kindred getting accelerated as well. We see her getting closer and closer to the Triforce.
Ooh, Synapse wants to get it through. Lovely use of the ult by Loopy to avoid the knockup, but no flash. And there's the combo from Synapse. That classic Ornn target combo is enough. And Synapse takes control of the Ornn and hands it back to Loopy. This is how you do the 1v1, my friend.
Yeah, that's my favorite marksman, assassin, druid, hunter, and whatever else on is. You can't really disrespect him, but oh god, Lunkenfer.
Synapse can certainly disrespect Lunkenfer right now and has tried to get this wave pushed in without any real business doing so. Lunkenfer going to pick up a second with the mark as well, I think, spawning right at the end there. So further acceleration for the 200 Bandits jungler. And to be honest, on 200 Bandits, I don't think there's a better place to put gold from what I've seen. Lunkenfer is such a consistent carry with it.
Yeah, I am not sure if you saw the stacks on the Kindred. We're 8 minutes in. She has 5 stacks. Her abilities have already, her abilities have already been upgraded once. She's almost halfway.
Wow, she's got 2.
Yeah, she got 2 like with the first blood. Now I'm not sure where she got the third and the fourth. I guess a Scuttlecrab to start with, and then the Grom was the third. It's dire, honestly. If she ever reaches 2 items, it's done.
Oh, there's the combo onto JB, executed cleaner by Belfast Storm. They have the damage to at least pick one up back for themselves. 2 kills apiece, and the Nocturne Orianna combo is officially online.
Okay, that's very good news here from Belfast Storm because it gives them a fighting chance. We hear so many times the broadcast yell with champions like the team Twisted Fate and the Nocturne. The first ult matters so much. You need to set the pace for yourself. You need to start being useful, and the kill going to the Orianna, I think it's even better right now because she will be the late game carry, and especially with that defensive item starts, she needs to get some accelerating in order for her to start building up that damage.
Yeah, not going to be as much of a 1v1 threat. The ults on their own, perhaps not going to hit quite as hard with a build like this, but adds a little bit of that protection. If the Ashara start coming through the Merc Treads, has a lot of value to potentially pick up against all of the CC options that 200 Bandits can bring to bear. We pan back to bot lane right now, which has been uncharacteristically quiet for a Four Nations game. The rest of the map has been going a little bit crazy, but it's really just been Elendil and Kenny pushing waves in.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's Renata. And that's why usually, especially into the Ashe, especially with the Rakan, you try to perma-farm them with a Nocturne ultimate. But right now, you know that if you don't time everything perfectly with the 2 defensive summoners over there, I think Renata can turn the play around most times. So you don't really take the risk. You go and punish the ways you can. And one of them may be Lopi because he is getting pressured in time and time again.
He is, and the Ashe ult is actually coming down this top lane. Synapse already running for the hills, maybe suspecting Lunkenfer in the area, and is absolutely correct. Spotted on the ward coming through that Tridun. Losi ready and waiting to pounce with Sundax as well. Orianna coming up the river. Lunkenfer might be on the receiving end of a 3v1 coming down the river right now. In comes the Rakan ult. Out comes Dunlosi around the corner. Limsey skating up the river. They're flashing in, but Kenny has arrived with a Renata ultimate to put paid to that one. Synapse TP's in, but can do no more. I felt for sure Lunkenfer was going to at least lose the ult. Does lose the flash, but still has an angle to maybe contest these grubs after.
Yeah, and Dunlosi also spent his flash, so it's kind of a fair game right now. If you can play a front to back with your team, but you don't really have a front lane. Now, Lopi's coming around with the teleport.
Lunkenfer into the pit, going aggressive onto Dunlosi. Kenny in a bit of trouble right now. Synapse trying to get this Renata off the board. A flash away keeps her safe, and the flank coming in from the carries and 200 Bandits committing. Does Belfast Storm into the pit, down onto Lunkenfer, gets the feat of warfare, then drops the ultimate as the Kindred stays alive. Elendil and JB are zoning 3 members of the Belfast Storm. It's a double for the Bandits jungler and 2 out of 3 grubs.
And how do you kill her? She has her ultimate, she has a Renata revive. The only thing she's missing is a Zillion and maybe an Arena Echo ultimate. I don't even know. Lunkenfer has so much freedom to play on a melee range, to play very, very aggressively. And that's, I think, the 7th stack? It's the 7th! We're 12 minutes in!
Man. Dude, the Donby 400 Kindred stack hack? What is this? This is insanity. This is like the Levi level 6 Nocturne play from MSI. Like, how did we get here so fast?
I missed half of them. I swear I missed the first and the fourth stack, but from this point onwards, I feel like Lungafu has been everywhere where his team needs him. He denies the extra stack from the neutral objective, so it's only a third for each of those teams. They have the Fit of Warfare, and of course, those towers are looking juicy. Nobody from the side of Belfast Storm has been able to even lay a finger on the structures from the side of 200 Bandits.
It's been another solid early game from 200 Bandits. They've got at least 1 feat on the table. Second Dragon coming up. I don't think that's going to get them the second just yet. One more Epic Monster Camp there, and the first turret still to pick up. So the boots, the Triumphant Boot still on the table. But this is as we expected. This is as we've seen from 200 Bandits time and time again. Lunkafer, doesn't matter if he's playing a late game, quote-unquote late game champion. He will get so much done early, and the lanes are always ready to set him up.
Yeah. I really think that everything has been set up from JB and his early sacrifice of a wave and a half, because when he did that, Limsey had just teleported back in and he let a wave and a half crash into his turret. He was 10 CS behind, and look, it doesn't matter. He also lost his flash, he ended up dying, but it doesn't matter because when you're playing for Lunkafer delivers.
Yeah, well, happily. I'd sacrifice my flash. I'd give anything if Lunkafu was my jungler, to be honest, because I know he's going to pay it back. He always delivers, as you say. And now that leaves 200 Bandits, 1.5k up, 2 dragons to their name. As the plates are about to fall off, you can see the goal difference here, 1.4. Basically, the entire lead for 200 Bandits is living in Lunkafu's pocket.
Yeah, more or less everyone else is on a really even footing. Only Lunka right now is the one leading. Elendil must be very careful because Nock is also knocking around the area. Danlos is getting ready to use that ultimate, of course. Still very, very risky into the Renata ult, into the Ash Arrow.
They go. In come the ultimates. There it is. Renata catches multiple members. Limsey coming around the corner. They need to get that first kill. Elendil into the bailout. Gets the revive. Flashes away. Still, somehow, Elendil lives as Protection takes a fat ramped up tower shot. Sundax as well takes that aggro. Limsey now flashing away. They barely limp to safety. Belfast Storm in the 1-for-1 after all of that.
And that's never worth it. Your jungler died, Limsey spent his flash, you spent a barrier, you spent the heal, and you're still running while allowing JB to free hit your tower. And that's almost the triumphant boots as well for the side of 200 Bandits. And I think from this point onwards, it's only gonna get more and more dire.
Oh dear, there goes the turret, and that's going to be it. The boots upgrade secure for 200 Bandits. Lunkafer happily going to pick up the second turret straight away as well. And as we check in on this top lane, we can see it doesn't matter if you solo kill the Scion. It doesn't matter if you, quote-unquote, beat him in lane. Scion is inevitable. Scion will always get there, will become unkillable. Loopy's job is done.
Yep. He has survived now. He's just going to be a huge threat, and for your Orianna, for your Nocturne as well, creating so much space. But really, I think the highlight should go to Elendil. I'm not sure which elven powers did he summon over there, but how did he survive for so long? I swear I saw him on 1 bar of HP for 12 seconds.
Yeah, you know, it comes back to what we'd laid out at the start, where if that combo, if the Nox and Orianna combo is a little under-farmed, a little under-leveled, a little under-juiced, and it doesn't get the kills it needs out the gate, things get real hairy, real fast for Belfast Storm. We saw it on display in that bot lane. The revive from Kenny's bailout, giving Lendale so much more time to waste for Belfast, and it just went from bad to worse. They walked away with a 1-for-1 and lost 2 towers for the privilege.
Yep. And now you're suddenly lagging behind 3k in gold. It's only 15 minutes into the game. It's not that you're looking to outscale the enemy team. It's not that you've tried and went for the Drakes. No, you're lagging 2 Drakes behind. And 200 Bandits are looking to run away with the bag, at least for that first game, if nothing goes completely south. Because, of course, we're still only humans.
Well, exactly,
and
right?
can go wrong.
And if anyone knows a thing or two about games going south that should have been won, it's 200 Bandits. They are habitual throwers. Yeah. They are devastating throwers, as they have been in the Four Nations Winter Split right now. They've backed away from the Herald Pit, as Dunlosi and Synapse are going to get this one started up. The last few fights have gone decidedly in the Bandits' favor, and you can see they don't want to give it up. They're looking for that first engage, maybe
bit
almost daring to BFS to drop the combination. TP's coming in, they peel off the Rift Herald, out goes the Paranoia, who's the target? Flash in from Kenny with a triple ultimate from the Renata.
Nice.
Ashot follows out, the fleet, the bailout only onto the Renata, into the Kindred ult as well. Loopy now holding the front line as the rest of BFS's members separated from the backline are picked apart, and 200 Bandits re-dive, re-engage, hunting down the remaining BFS members. Protection at least will get some credit. It's a shutdown for Ezreal, but Elendil will clean up the mess.
And you can't spend everything on Mrs. Glass. Can she survive for so long once again? All those, I don't know, survival powers, all those skill denial went through with Loopy denying any sort of damage, any sort of follow-up for the enemy backline. 200 Bandits dominate another fight, and now they can just run back into the map and select, do we want to play for the Herald, which is one more stack for the Kindred, or do we just want to secure the Mountain Soul Point?
I mean, does Kindred need stats at this stacks anymore? Like, I feel like he's probably already approaching double digits. Like, we don't even need to bother with them at this stage. Lunkerfer and 5 kills deep, already approaching a collector to go alongside the Triforce. This guy is set for life right now in the Kindred.
I'm not sure when was the last time I saw a Kindred build so aggressively, because usually the build is, you know, clever, somehow I get a few tanky stats. No, I get the upgraded boots, that's all. I don't need anything more. The rest is for, I don't know, cowards, and I'm not coward. At level 12, 2 levels up on the Nocturne. If they secure the Drake, then they find themselves in an excellent position to start closing this game out.
Smite secured with no trouble for the 200 Bandits jungler. They seem to be pathing away, not rushing towards the Herald as well. Less than a minute on the clock, or about exactly a minute before it will disappear. Does it still disappear at 20 minutes now? The Baron's 25?
I think
it hangs around?
Yeah,
it hangs around. Okay, that's gives them a bit of leeway.
It has time for another drink or so, like on the river. So
yeah, Atakan doesn't hate it so much, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really need the same space to live. Okay, so it's fine. It's 2 bros chilling on the river, 5 feet apart.
Because they're but no, it's
you say that.
yeah, they're good neighbors. They're good neighbors. They're good neighbors, Atacon and Shelly. No bad blood there for sure. So this does give now to look for, you know, the room to reset, clear all the way top to bottom, and now rock up. Hasn't even gone back to buy. Probably has the collector ready, and BFS trying to punish the Bandits before they can get into position. Another Renata ult to slow them. In comes Loopy, but Synapse on the flank. Orianna ultimate finds no kills. That's the stun onto Limsey, forces the defense, but it can't keep him alive. Protection goes deep to desperately hunt for kills, but will only give up his life, and 200 Bandits stand resolute once again. And here comes the Herald.
It wasn't even fair. Orianna hit 3 people with her ultimate. The damage was nowhere to be found. She only rocks the Archangel Staff or Serap's Embrace, whatever it's called right now, with an alternator. That's nowhere near enough to start threatening the enemy carries. And look, you win the fight, you get Mr. Atakan, you get the last out at art. What more can you ask when you're on the Bandit side?
To be honest, in this game, for me, as someone who was like, I think the Bandits are actually going to do well, I could ask nothing more of them. This is exactly how they used to win games, and all they have to do, as we've already mentioned, is not throw it away. They've got the Atakan, they're ready, primed for a Mountain Soul, they have a Herald ready to deploy. They could be cracking inhibitors with this Herald if they time it properly, and they can win another fight off the back of it. The gold lead has ballooned up to over 6,000 right now, just past the 20-minute mark. It really is 200 Bandits game to lose here.
Yeah, and you can see it on the item spikes as well. Like Nocturne is still struggling to complete the second item, not really sure what will it be with that extra dagger there. Maybe he just had 250 gold lying, where Kindred already starts building into the, what I suspect to be the Infinity Edge. Very expensive item, but very strong as well. 2 items on the Ash, 2.5 items on the Syndra as well, and they're looking prime. They're not even in any hurry. They know that the only thing that they can do by doing proactive things for the next 2 minutes is lose. You just wait. You don't really care about setting up the Drake. If the enemy team just goes into the Drake pit, then you set your Sion first, you follow up, you win the fight, you scrub the floor with the enemy team.
Pretty much. It can just be that simple. As 200 Bandits now heading onto this bot side. There are a couple of Belfast Storm members a little far away from their base that could end up aggressively moving forward. They ult for it onto the Syndra. The charm still lands. A Scat of the Weak keeps JP alive for now, and they don't have the damage on Lucian. Sundax trying to escape, but the Ashel is Captain Jack's cleanse from Sundax. Will it be enough to keep him alive? I just don't think so. Kenny Lalendil wrapping up the Rakan as Dunlosi has nowhere to go, funneled into the tower. Another kill for the Kindred. The push is ready. Down comes the Herald, and who can stop them from Belfast Storm right now?
Another kill, another stack. This Kindred gets 2 stacks. Sorry, a stack every 2 minutes. That's actually so crazy with the Herald. They're gonna start running this lane down. Perfect day game. They don't really care. They care about just dominating. And they're even maybe looking for the inhibitor turret in the bottom lane.
The second charge comes through with the grubs popping out as well. That is the double turret. The inhibitor will be allowed to live for the time being. But 200 Bandits, again, extracting so much value out of their successes. 45 seconds on the clock. It's an easy reset timer. Peel back, head back out for the soul. It's all lined up for them.
Yeah, they don't really care about setting this Drake up. The only thing they want is spend every last penny they have earned, become as strong as possible, and come and play another fight. So if you can really kill a Syndra, then I have bad news for you, friend. That's the least tanky champion on the enemy team.
Yeah. That would have been the easiest target, but it cannot even land. And Loopy, not going to be any easier. Not really much damage felt. Synapse drops the ultimate. Kenny, again, with the massive Renata ultimate. Catches so many members of Belfast Storm. Dunlosi with a last-ditch ultimate, but is simply point-blank shotgunned by the Syndra as the rest of the 200 Bandits swarm through the Belfast Storm jungle. The bailout for Lunkenberg giving him the room to dump forward for the triple. And that is the clean ace 4-0, 200 Bandits, 24 minutes on the clock. They're just running it down to end this one.
Plain ace, clean game, and I think the Bandits are mad, Trajan, because we were underestimating them. The desk all voted against them, and they seem to look down on everyone, maybe Bat Venom Crest, wishing for a rematch, but they'll have to do it at least once again.
With games like that, I'll be wishing for the rematch right now, and there is little chance that we won't be seeing it. Belfast Storm has got to get their heads right after a clapping like that. My word, not a throw to be seen, you know, no hint of a misplay or a lackadaisical sloppiness in the later game that we have seen from the Bandits. It was clinical, it was all business. They had the advantages pushed to their maximum, but never overstepping.
Yeah, and that's what I was praising Venom Crest for the other time, that they are the only team that knows how to play them up and knows how to not do anything when nothing needs to be done. So kudos, 200 Bandits, you've learned a thing or two. Just prove it. Please prove that it was not a fluke. Prove that you can do it. And on the other side, where is Belfast Storm? I was promised a Belfast Storm being here, and new Belfast Storm, an improved one for the playoffs, and I still want to see them play.
Yeah, I'm waiting. I'm checking my watch every hour on the hour, and maybe it is, you know, maybe it is just the fact that we simply banned Jinx and Azir, and Belfast Storm were dissipated with Thanos snapped out of existence. We need to see a little bit more depth for them, and they have another chance to do so. This is a best of 3. We will be back after a short break. The desk will be here to break that one down and tee us up as this series continues. We will see you back here in just a few minutes.
We're back. Game 1, pretty swift. Tess, quick impression.
It was interesting to watch the Belfast Storm trip and fall over multiple flights of steps, multiple times over.
Bloxer?
At least it was quick, right? You know, it ended pretty quickly after the tripping down flights of stairs started.
Yeah,
That was good.
there was an acceleration going on here. We had a decent-ish early game from Belfast. They hit the Nocturne Ori combo at 6. The one solo killed the Scion like you meant to do in that matchup with something a bit more neutral as soon as Kindred wasn't interfering. Oh, Lunkafar. Can't believe you. Did we get a final stack check? Check? See, he's crit my vocal cords as well. A final stack check.
I
Kindred.
don't know if we did, but I know it
Close
was
to
a
the
lot.
end, it was 2 a minute.
Yeah, it
was
was
not gonna lie.
absurd. It was absurd, and I think we were sitting there watching, saying like, okay, yeah, they got the Nocturne Ori combo, but Kindred has like 4 or 5 stacks already, and at that point, it's just not playable. It doesn't matter, and I think really Belfast Storm just made a couple of misplays. We saw them around the fight over Grubs. There was a point where Kindred's in the pit. Yeah, has Kindred ult. They engage on the Kindred rather than the Sindred and the Ashe that are sitting over on the side that are ripe for the picking.
Yeah, would have done a lot to pull the members of 200 Bandits out of the pit in like a I don't know. It's tough. It's really tough. Block, so we spoke about sort of the all-in mentality and how Kindred really does shut that down.
And so does Renata, right? Like, it wasn't just the Kindred. It felt like pretty much everything was custom built to stop this all-in mentality that you really were trying to play for right there as Belfast Storm. It was really unfortunate to see, because if they had have slowed it down a little bit, not necessarily let the game happen to them, they still had a composition that needed going early, but a couple of those team fights, they went in, nobody had died, but they'd gotten a couple of those key ultis out. Wonderful. Leave, try again. Relatively long cooldown on both of those key anti-engage ultis, so if you can disengage, re-engage, try it again, I think it would have worked a lot better. But instead, once they were in, they were not leaving. More than happy to just keep on scrapping. And I think as much as we are criticizing the way that Belfast Storm played that one out, and there is much to criticize, 200 Bandits, they played their composition exactly as you're meant to. That was a gorgeous Kindred performance, but it wasn't just a gorgeous Kindred performance. It didn't feel like anybody was falling behind, nobody was doing badly. I mean, yeah, you said there was a solo kill going on top lane, as you would expect with this composition. It still wasn't that bad. I wasn't that unhappy with the way that we ended up seeing Loopy play that one out. You know, he was still able to get some kills with the Kindred involved. Nobody was dead weight on this team, and it was overall incredibly impressive from them.
Yeah, it's you sort of like take the kill on the goal, but at the end of the day, you know, Bowser's law still applies. It is Scion. He's still going to be an absolute menace. I'm not sure. I'm having a moment. I'm not sure if that means we've got replays ready. I think from next game. Maybe not from that one. I'm hearing is a bit more finesse is required from Belfast Storm. We need a little bit more detail, a little less push the button and go. We're going to play the fastest imagined and fastest realized segment in Four Nations history, called 1 and 6 or 6 and 1. That being Lunkafu's scoreline throughout 2 various games at various points within them. Are we going to see another wacky jungle pick? Yes or no, Tess?
I'm gonna go yes. I'm just gonna shot in the dark take yes.
All right, that's pretty fair. It's working so far.
Yeah, I mean, like, if it works, just roll with it.
All right. Okay. It's gonna be probably the way to do it. You got your 1-0 lead. Are we gonna see 200 Bandits mix things up? What would we like to see? Any adaptation? We're not on Fearless, so we're just making it up as we go. Blocks are game 2. You've got the lead.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
As 200 Bandits, I think just by the nature of like the way that these drafts are going to pan out, you're going to end up with a different composition. I don't think Kindred's the sort of thing you pull back twice in a row. It's the sort of champion you usually pull out once, do really well on it, take that win, move on, especially because Belfast Storm, they did choose to take themselves over onto red side, so that should shake things up quite a lot. I'd like to see things continue to be a little bit wacky, though. I'd like to see Loopy on something that isn't the Scion or the Ornn, something that's a little bit more aggressive. And I would just like to see Lungfo do something wild. Not necessarily the Kindred again or the Darius, just something else a little bit crazy. You've got that buffer now. Try something out. Give it a go.
What I'm hearing is Loopy was not free. And that's not okay.
No, the Scion is
Right.
not freedom.
Sign is not freedom, as most top laners will agree, unless you're on the Lost Returns right now. Right. Belfast Storm, select red. Jinx ban coming through again. Bit of a difficult situation. Are we going to see mid jungle on 1-2? What's going to be the priority here?
I honestly would expect to see probably another early AD carry pick. I think they really do like getting protection on something that's got just power before the risk of that getting taken away or, you know, moved elsewhere. We saw it game number 1. They grabbed that Ezreal pretty immediately. Obviously 200 bandits, they're not going to change their bans up here at all because why would you? You're taking out what you know is strong. The Ashe is going to get taken away here for Belfast Storm though, which does now at least force things to change a little bit for 200 bandits.
Okay, and then we'll be able to force that Ezreal dynamic again. Maybe that indicates they're going to pick up the Arcane Wonder Boy himself once more. Not 100% sure. We wait to see how 200 bandits start a Varus.
Okay.
Ezreal pretty okay into the Varus and has been sort of the point where he's re-entered pro play.
Yeah, but I just want to see Protection on something more carry oriented. You
Yeah.
can totally carry on the Ezreal. We've seen it a million times, but you're very reliant on your opposition being squishy overall. The second there are tanks, as we saw in the previous game, you kind of just can't keep doing that. So I would rather see something a little bit aggressive. Obviously, the Jinx is taken away, but there are plenty of other hyper carries still available. The Tristana's even been popping up a bit recently. I think something with a little bit more of an unlock for Protection, or even something like the Kai'Sa that you can really do skill expression on. I think Protection's been the best part of this roster. If you can really lean into him being able to take over a game, that would be very exciting. The Zeri, I think, is actually a perfect kind of blend between being the late game scaler, but also so much skill and expression you can put down in the early to mid game.
It really is that sort of pop-off excitement, and with the front to back with the Syndra taken by Belfast Storm this game away from 200 bandits. Means Limsey versus JB is going to be fun once again.
I do really like the Zeri, like you said. I think it gives that ability to just go in on the Varus, and that's Varus's kind of weak point. If that ultimate is not available, he is a sitting duck, and he's very easy to just jump onto, and Zeri's very good at that. So I think the control there from the Zeri that is possible is good. We're getting honestly going to be a little bit of a slow mid lane. We got the Victor pick up into the Syndra. We're just going to chill out there for a little bit.
Handshakes.
Wukong existing does obviously kind of throw some shenanigans in that, especially post 6 when you got that Cyclone coming around. But yeah, probably just, I would expect for the most part a farm fest in the mid lane.
I suppose the Victor does fulfill a role, and that as soon as Zeri comes forward, she'll be met by gravity, by lasers, and other dangers. Boxer, how are you setting up for this front to back in the ban phase here? Are we going to see Sion gone?
Ooh, I feel like getting rid of the Scion on the Ornn right now would make a lot of sense, to be honest. Either of those champions round this one out. Belfast Storm, again, they've gone for a very standard kind of composition. I think there's a lot more what I expect from them. In the previous game, it was so much more aggressive than what we've been seeing previously, whereas both the Syndra and the Zeri look like they should be able to sit back, chill, allow the game to come to them a little bit in the later game. So I think both of these top laners, to be honest, would like to have themselves a little bit more of a tank. Interestingly, the Skarner that we did see taken away in the previous round is still up and available. I could see that as a potential pickup for, to be honest, either Dunlossie or Synapse if it's left through. Both of them could have a really good game on it.
Already junglers left open. And yeah, I suppose with Lunkafor having that Wukong through nice and early, has sort of just fallen by the wayside in terms of priority. The Xin Zhao has also been banned against Dunlossie. Every single of the last 3 games, the first of tonight and the 2 versus Broad and Friends, that pick was taken away. And tonight, the
wind will
the
become
Ninja of
light.
Guernsey is back.
The wind will become lighting. And honestly, I like this Xin Zhao because it's giving them some kind of early game engine. You have Nautilus, you have Xin Zhao. They're very capable of just getting things going. And if you can get either this Zeri or this Syndra off the ground early, and Syndra's great setup as well, you have opportunities here. I think now this mid lane now changes to Victor cannot push up, because if that Nautilus is roaming around and you don't know where Xin Zhao is, suddenly things are very, very sketchy to move up at all, because one Syndra stun will turn into a CC chain that you're not leaving alive.
Loxa, I was so excited for the.
Me too. That's the reason that you don't do it
We
here,
all
though.
saw it, didn't we? That was
Yeah,
gonna
that's
be
the reason you
Ambessa into
don't do
Warwick.
it, though. Because if you do pick up the Ambessa in that situation,
Oh,
you just get Warwicked as the counter, and it's not a good time. We saw it previously. No Synapse can play. It's just the correct decision out of 200 bands not to go for that side of the matchup. But it does leave open Synapse to be able to take the Ambessa for himself. And the Ambessa into Cassante matchup, you can get a lot going. Honestly, I don't expect too many solo kills in the top lane. If something happens in that matchup, it's usually due to jungle intervention. But both these champions can really work well with the compositions drafted. You needed something a bit tanky that can get into the back line and cause some disruption. Well, both of these top laners can do just that.
Yeah, you definitely can't throw a gravity field that catches the Zeri and the Ambessa. Tessa, we got two big compositions again. Once again, we're on for big cooldowns. Maybe more about the AD carries this time than last game. What's your overall thought?
I mean, I think it's really just both teams to a degree want to play a front to back here. You have your front line, you have your just big carries in the back line with this Varus and Victor versus the Zeri Syndra. I think the big thing is that there's more ability to skirmish here for Belfast Storm, and we saw that they had something similar game number 1. They were, in a position where, yeah, cool, we hit level 6, we can just take fights. We don't want to take team fights because of the big Kindred and Renata ults. Similar kind of thing here with, okay, we have Xin Zhao, we have Nautilus, we have Syndra. All of that setup is there to try and get a little bit of control in the early game. But the question is the execution.
All right. Tension. 200 Bandits, one game away from the grand finals. Take it away, Revan Trajan.
Thank you, Temporal. This is certainly a different flavor from Belfast Storm. A bit less single-minded, I dare say. A bit more options to play with. And a little bit more of the Belfast Storm that we've seen throughout the rest of this split. I'm feeling a lot better about this draft for them, Rev.
Yeah, they have multiple points of attack. I'm only a little bit afraid that some of them are a little bit too disjointed in my mind. Like the Zeri usually loves an enchanter with her, especially into a Varus where she gets outranged pretty heavily if the Varus knows how to space well. And last game Elendil showed that he is the master of spacing on that dive. So Protection will have a hard game to play. He has to run in, and unless Dalnosi and Synapse will create all that space for him, he's gonna have to struggle to find the way to land all those ultra shock lasers and auto attacks.
Absolutely. You see Belfast Storm trying to just dance around 200 bandits on the jungle entrances. No deep warding being attempted. A little counter invade set up on the top side of the river. Oh, hang on a second. I couldn't even see Lunkerfer's icon because it was under 3 Belfast Storm once. So that's a much different start to this game. First blood, unfortunately, going into Sundax's pocket, but still pumping the brakes and stopping Lunkerfer in his tracks is certainly wouldn't go amiss.
Yeah, they found in the unauthorized monkey, and he was dealt with.
Yep.
Well, thankfully for Lunkerfer, he didn't spend any flash. Thankfully, they got the ignite. Very, very short cooldown though, and Sundax collecting that kill means that he's gonna have an easier time to play into the lane. Of course, I feel a little bit weirded out by that cloth armor. Did they nerf First Blood? No, right?
I mean,
well, why would he keep 100 gold in his pocket, like?
I don't know, just to feel good about it, I guess. Just trying to put a confidence booster. You just carry a bit of change around. You just feel like a rich guy. It's just trying to
have your pockets clink.
Exactly. Just trying to intimidate on a societal level in that bot lane.
Okay, so I actually have an idea. Okay, so First Blood is worth only 300 gold. So I am out of the times. But now let's see if
poor.
I see. But for me, I haven't played a single round game on my main account in the whole of 2025, so I'm slightly happier with my life.
Oh, Sundax is happy with this hook in. Kenny, not so much, but Protection takes a fair old chunk in return despite the level disadvantage. So still not solved in that bot lane by any means, as all the potions been burnt through, and Elendil and Kenny actually still have a couple to go.
Yeah, the Ignite's still out of cooldown, so even with Kenny liking his flash, now that he's level 2, he can look for that engage. He can burn through the shield of Protection. If Protection doesn't time his barrier effectively, that Rel Q just immediately disposes of all of the shields. So suddenly you are under kill threat. Now, Danlosi wants to go into Lungafer, but Lungafer has sniffed that something's amiss. He skips the red buff and gives space to the enemy team to invade.
And Lucy, with the double sweepers coming in from BFS, the knowledge is there. 200 bandits know what's going on right here, and they cannot really contest them. Lunkerfer drops a ward just to be absolutely sure. Maybe looking for a possible smite steal if the door is left open, but BFS will do their homework and they will not let the monkey get back in there. Protection separated from the front line as well. He needs to take a long route back to safety. Potentially does not have the wall ride actually skilled yet and has to go all the way around. As 200 bandits continue to chase them, and Kenny is not done right now. Instantly ignited, double stun, Elendil around the corners, big damage from 200 bandits, but it is Rel that falls first as the 2 versus 3 playable. The mid lane is rotating over, Limsy not very healthy, but a step ahead of JB. The stun onto the Varus as Elendil trying to fight his way out. Victor picks up one, protection over the wall, flash from Varus, but straight into the machine gun, and Protection will happily receive 2 kills after the whole affair.
I was about to praise 200 Bandits so much. It was so nice of them to just pressure the whole return of Belfast Storm. They made them lose the whole wave, but why would you go in and fight with an early game Wukong without the mid lane prior? That was so weird, and suddenly the Fate of Warfare goes into the pocket of Belfast Storm. Zeri looks so much happier with 2 kills under her belt, and just realized that Elendil will be playing the Lethality Virus, all those elongated fights, all those scrappy mid-range fights would never go in his favor.
Yeah, the instant raw BF sword drop by Protection at the 4-minute mark on that first back. That is what BFS wanted to see. This is an even faster acceleration than 200 Bandits had in the first game. They're already 1,000 gold up, and you say they've already got the Feet of Warfare locked down. So BFS with a dream start to try and turn the momentum round in this lower bracket final.
Yeah, let's see if they can keep this up. 200 Bandits, they are, as you said, Olympic medalists when it comes to throwing. And if you don't even have the ball, how can you throw it? So maybe it's like the whole mental game that we can't really throw. It's your turn to throw. And we'll see if Belfast Storm has the mental capacity to just control the game right now and play it calm and collected.
Well, they've rotated onto this dragon and will not be contested in it. Lunkerfer instead choosing to invade and steal some camps away on the top side. So Belfast Storm will pick up their first epic monster camp of the game. The grubs will be able to spawn before too long. We'll see if they want to try and take both top and bot side of the map on the objective front, or if 200 bandits will be allowed to pick up some crumbs right now. As we pan back to top lane, we've really just seen Synapse more or less remaining in control with the level lead. Already has that ultimate on deck, generally up in HP, up in CS. Loopy on the Cassante is really just trying to stay healthy enough to not get potentially even dived.
And you can see the difference in Synapse's comfort zone when he's not playing the tank, when he's playing that kind of more aggressive champion. And hypothetically, Ambessa doesn't really win the matchup before she gets an item and a half, but still so strong.
Ooh, Limsy with a lovely E to get away from the stun from Rel. The gravity field does manage to connect on the very edge, but there's just no more damage to follow up. JB knows the kill's not on the table, but critical backstep from Limsy without the flash on Syndra would have been dead meat if that had connected.
Yeah, especially a critical Scar of the Week as well to make sure that the Shattering Strike does not meet, because if it does, then you'd have literally no way of escaping. So now they'll be getting the 2 grabs as well. No fit for them, but still a win on the top side with Dunlosy only dropping 2 camps. I think that's a pretty huge W for him.
Onto the uncontested grubs as well. It is really all going Dunlosy's way in this second game. Protection currently isolated in 1 versus 2. Kenny has returned, but will the Zeri step too far forward? Does not seem to be the case. Protection again showing wisdom beyond his years, perhaps. A new name in the Four Nations this split, but has done so exceptionally well as now JB on the receiving end of a potential dive has the flash ready, and Dunlosy doesn't even want to bother dropping the win becomes lightning.
Yeah, of course. With the flash up, with him being near the turret, very nice pathing as well for him to go near the wall. But protection is also... Oh, he's got...
Ooh, caught up, no flash, has the barrier, but
No
is
E.
there enough room to get away? The Ignite is ticking, Lendil with
Lendil.
an E doesn't quite connect to Sundax
Oh,
down.
he couldn't-
Shut down, secured, the piercing arrow gets the job done. Limsey's arrived with the ultimate, and Dunlosi will secure the kill on Lunkifer. 2 for 1, but 200 Bandits walking away happy here.
Yeah, if Kenny didn't get the second kill and Lonkerfor got it, I'd say that it's a huge W for 200 Bandits. Now it's more on an even ground, but still, you're getting some very, very important summoners out protection. No barrier, he had no flash, you force his E, and that piercing arrow connecting made so much of a difference. Limsey, he's got...
Oh, the max range ultimate connects. There's the CC chain and the ults and the arrows are flying. Alendil picks up a second. Lovely setup for 200 Bandits, patient in the brush. And they have retrieved this bot lane from what was a disastrous start.
Yeah, and that's a huge dub right now because look at the gold lead. It's done. It's evaporated. You only have a single rake and a single grab over your opponents. Otherwise, it's dead even. And at that point, the lethality virus will start shining once again. If you give him the space, he's already even up in CS. He has the same spikes as Yozeri. Now it's his time to start pressuring the lane once again. Like the game just starts now.
200 Bandits managed to right the ship after a very shaky first few minutes. Lunkifer rotating onto top side. Synapse has a tower to happily retreat to as Loopy continues to be moderately behind, but not really falling further behind. However, this 2 versus 2 could be pivotal. Loopy already down below half HP, drops the all out already, makes himself more vulnerable, but has big damage to offer. Dunlosi's Crescent Guard is keeping him alive for now, but Lunkifer is trying to force the issue. 1 kill traded apiece as Lunkifer and Synapse now left, but the double buff on the waves working in 200 Bandits' favor. And it's 1 for 1 across that fight. Again, 200 Bandits, I thought that looked pretty worrying for them, but they played that 2v2 out so well.
Yeah, somehow they managed to get a kill. So much damage from Loopy, that Pathmaker, when you go all out, if you manage to connect with it, because it's not as easy, you need to go through the whole channel while the enemy knows where you're gonna be headed. Still manage to collect, still deal so much damage. Show gives Dunlosi a very, very important kill, especially since Dunlosi is going to be playing the Triforce Wukong. He needs that extra little bit of Mula early on in the game.
It's a bit tough for Loopy now coming out of this one. Did not get the kill in that exchange and is now Chain Armor and Sheen versus a full Eclipse for Synapse. That 1v1 scenario just got a little bit more painful for him. So it's not going to get any easier up there for the 200 Bandits top laner, but if there's anything that we know Loopy can do, it is gracefully fall behind without dragging the entire map down with him.
Yeah, and that's why you're giving him those picks, right? The Psy and the Xanta, the Own, that's his bread
Exactly.
and butter. He knows that he doesn't really need the eco. I was pretty surprised to see Lungifor show his face on the top side when he's not sure that he can collect the kill, or if when he doesn't really need to collect the kill, because, you know, the Kindred, it's fine, you get the stacks, but Wukong, you usually just want to farm up, you want to get your items, you want to get the XP and level up your ultimate as many times as possible, as quickly as possible.
Triforce completed
Yeah.
for Lunkifer on the Wukong, so has been able to get the extra cash needed to be contesting, and they're going to step over to take that second dragon. Dunlosi, meanwhile, should be able to pick up all 6 scrubs in total, so the pushing power from BFS, if they do manage to get some control over the map, will be strong, but they will not have a potential early Dragon Soul to play for if that was the plan.
I think it's only 5. Yeah, I think 200 Bandits collected the first grab of the map, so although the pushing power will be more or less the same, the thing is that you're not getting another fit. Oh, wait. Dunlosi might be in trouble.
This is getting a bit sketchy. Actually doesn't get the second one either. JB just walks up and takes it out of his hands. Lunkifer is beating down Limsey on the other side of this fight. Will manage to secure it as Dunlosi re-engages with the ultimate, but now Loopy's ready for the punish. Kenny has the CC and JB's got the lasers. Synapse in a 1 versus 3. There was some low HP bars. Loopy has got to be careful. Finds the knockback into a laser, into a stun. Not quite enough damage between the 3 of them, but 200 Bandits. I thought for sure Belfast Storm was going to be allowed to have that, but no such luck.
Rager, my mental gymnastics came out true. How can you throw if you don't hold the game? You just give Belfast Storm the opportunity to throw, and they have done so. No second part of the I don't know how to call it, neutral objective trio for defeat. No wins for that fight, no kills at all. And suddenly you're getting a pretty nice goal. And I won't say that it's the end of the game. I won't say that it is start of the snowball, but it's a really nice place to be in, especially when you look at the item spikes once again. Now, Lupe will return. He will collect his first item. I think it's going to be a nice boom Coldlate. You already now have the Luden's Companion on JB. You already have the opportunity on Elendil, and you're looking to fight at every opportunity.
Yeah, they do have managed to avoid BFS snowballing away with the Zeri, with the Syndra, with these scaling carries that were going to get ahead, just as 200 Bandits did in game number 1. They have managed to hold on, and now BFS will have to work a little harder. Will have to make sure these fight setups are correct, that they can get the damage down. They can find the important targets, protect their carries. They've got to do it by the book, otherwise 200 Bandits will happily punish you. And Lucy looking for a little steal in the jungle camp. Looking for though flash hooks into mid lane, but Victor will trade his own summoner to escape. So Belfast Storm keeping the pressure on, but could not find the opening just yet.
Yeah, very nice takeaway from Sandex, making sure that Victor will feel the pressure from the Ambessa, from the Scattered Awake, from everything that she can throw at him. But also very nice reaction for JB. Doesn't even allow the chance to get hooked, to get executed right now. It's not that he's going to lose anything on the map, as there's no neutral objective, but you're going to give up so much pressure in the mid lane, so much gold as well to a Syndra who's actively looking to get forward once again.
Bandits plotting in the bot lane right here. Lungifer is out of vision. Be able to get into that brush. Has gotten all the way into protection. As we've dashed forward already. The bait, hook, line, and sinker. And another kill into Varus's pocket protection. Maybe feels the pressure to carry today, but it suffers at another great set play from 200 Bandits. Sundex trapped on the wrong side of the map. There's the CC chain. The choke point cut off. Victor will pick up some credit himself. Elendil crash the waves in and head back. 200 Bandits, they've just got such great team play together. The way they rotate together and flow together for plays in the laning phase it's almost unmatched in the region.
Yeah, you can hear the skimming news, and you can see them like walking like villains, like another Dr. Robotnik going into there, finding that wretched hedgehog and dealing with them once and for all. And now they get so much back again. They get 2 kills, they get all the ultimates, they get half the summoners. Protection still has the flash. He didn't even have the opportunity to ever use it, as I was so sure that if they can just punish the Lindel, that they forget that the elves are so wise and they wouldn't step up without a reason.
JB now taking up the mantle of bot lane. Happy to use that empowered laser at the death ray to clean up those waves, as long as he can stay shy of Sundax's Nautilus hooks. Should be okay under the tower. It is pretty strong. The damage is strong there as Elendil. Actually, they're rotating down. They're not even willing to wait. They're going to crash forward down. Kenny with the CC and Elendil. The point-blank arrows done. Losi's there on the corner to assist, and Syndra's coming down the river. They cannot keep the Nautilus alive, but do they have enough damage to turn this one around? Protection goes in for the shutdown. Flashes away. Picks up another shutdown, and Elendil suddenly on the back foot. Has to flash himself. Does step forward to drop a last arrow to trade AD carries, but another big kill for Limsey and BFS. They rotate well together themselves this time and come out ahead.
Yeah, and even though they abandon the control of the mid lane, they get so much back, because if they can secure that first tower, that's all they ever need to collect the triumphant boots. But Lungifer shows his face in the bottom side. He doesn't allow that takedown to be so easy and just saves the situation. But I was so worried for protection. I saw him dashing in. I'm like, what's he doing? Is he gonna die? But no, he just dishes enough damage to make sure that they win that fight, and they once again completely equalize the economy.
Yeah, and across the important characters, the gold is basically even. The top lane has a lead for 200 Bandits in jungle, but for BFS in topside, besides that, we're more or less at parity. And everyone is starting to hit those first item spikes, but no one accelerated too quickly to the second item ahead of anyone outside of their station. 200 Bandits looking to pick up their second Drake of the game. Chemtech Rift for us in game number 2. Sundax connects the hook onto Kenny. Lungifer around the corner, though, is able to just walk into melee range of protection and into the meat grinder of Elendil. JB cutting off the retreat. Limsey drops the ultimate, but has nothing else to offer. BFS, they strolled into their own demise right there.
Oh, so disgusting. That piercing arrow pierced them IRL. I think it turned off the electricity from their computers. The screens going all grey simultaneously. And it hurt so much for any Belfast Storm fans. But it just made sense, right? They hadn't really reset. They weren't ready. They hadn't spent the gold from the previous play. They graded for the tower when they couldn't. And now Loopy. Oh, that was
If
so
he'd got
close.
that knockback, he'd have been done. So Synapse would have been a world of hurt if he got a knockback right there. Loopy still looking to continue the fight. Again, if he can just get good positioning on them, he has the ultimate, goes through the pass maker. Can't get quite the positioning. There's the slight knockback. Synapse, of course, as a flash, has dashes for days as the Ambessa, but Loopy finally able to come away ahead in the damage graph at least. One last Q. We'll keep him ahead in the HP as Sundax and Dunlosi come through. Kenny is ready to offer some interference running if needed, but there's the public execution from Synapse to commit more. Loopy goes back into defense mode and has a tower to hold as Kenny suffering on the front line himself. But Loopy can still pick up this wave as now Lunkerfer and JB rotate through. BFS, do you want to keep this one going? Sundax runs into Lunkerfer, but it will be the brakes being pumped by 200 Bandits. Elendil has finally arrived, but BFS, they have control of Herald for now.
Yeah, Elendil also has access to that ultimate. When you see when he has the Blight stacks, he just melts through any enemy member. Synapse back in the fray, tries to create some space and think the Herald will go to Belfast Storm. But what is 100 Bandit looking for? Are they just doing some tourism? Are they taking pictures? Because they've abandoned the bot lane tower as well.
Oh, they're going straight for the drop in mid lane. Limsy TP to mid lane just to keep this tempo as high as possible. Loopy with no TP came off the fountain straight to the bot wave. And this mid lane outer is gonna get cracked. So BFS starting to open up that mid lane. They're going for the second charge as well. Not much HP on that Herald. Does get the charge on Losi, just about gets maximum value. So BFS with a lovely passage of play right there in the mid lane to free up some space as JB is trying to get this wave pushed out. But does he know the entirety of Belfast Storm is coming around the corner?
I think he does. I think that he tries to escape. He has his flash up, but needs to spend it immediately.
There's the Nautilus ultimate though. I'm afraid you've been pointed at and you have been clicked, JB. And out come the ultimate Limsy though. Knocked down by the Chaos Storm. A lovely trade from the 200 Bandits mid. Kenny can find no more, but Victor making the best of a bad lot right there as the mid lane tower under threat. Lunker for punishing protection. The massive burst on the aggressive move from BFS's AD carry. I dare say did not expect that kind of return.
Yeah, once again, he didn't expect Lunkerfer to be there waiting, scheming for his demise. And although it sounds the same, protection has no protection over there and ends up dropping for the 5th time in 20 minutes. The Zeri without an enchanter is so hard to keep safe.
Yeah, it feels like protection so often it's going wrong when he's trying to make the plays himself. He's trying to take the game into his own hands at times to make aggressive maneuvers in lane and catching Elendil here. It's just not what we've seen work for BFS in the past. Protection is a wonderful backline DPS, almost unmatched in the region so far. And as such a fresh young name, we were so excited for that. But right now, my man is doing too much. You know, there's maybe that's the champions who's being picked. Maybe that's the way BFS are playing these games out. But it doesn't feel like we're getting the best out of protection today. And without him, Belfast Storm are really suffering.
Yep. I'm not sure what's the plan there. I think they got a little bit carried away by the very, very nice early game. And now they're overreaching time and time again, where Elendil right now runs the whole map, 2.5 items. Over AK, stronger than protection. And they're just trying to get catches in the side lane time and time again.
Kenny, happy to drop a Magnet Storm. A flash from Synapse will get him to safety. There's no point chasing an Ambessa beyond a certain point. JB caught by the Nautilus ultimate, but has a wall to hide behind and a turret to sit next to as locks up Sundax in tower range. The Chaos Storm is there, the laser, there's the burn as well. JB is unflappable in game number 2. Limsy around the corner with a stun, out the brush, drops the full ult combo, and you got Syndred, my friend, as mid lane turret falls as well. Where's the rest of 200 Bandits, Rev? They seem to have forgotten what's going on right now. They're losing towers, they're losing kills. Dunlosi flashes in for a dive. A 2v1 goes their way as well, and all of a sudden, BFS, they're just back ahead in the gold.
I mean, they got the Ruinous Anakin, so they're getting so much XP back, they're getting the Drakes to be stronger for them, but I miss this feeling of I don't know, questioning, because that's UKL for you, baby. That's if you don't know what's going on, then you're in the right place.
Yeah.
What's going on?
I miss that feeling of abject confusion watching League of Legends. That's how we know that it's Four Nations Day, is when I just have no idea what's going on. But yeah, 200 Bandits seemingly very committed to the Atacon. They do secure it. They get the Ruinous, they get the Empowered Drake Souls and a bunch more XP, but they lose multiple turrets, multiple shutdowns, and BFS now has the gold parity to try and contest what could be Soul Point.
Thing is, can they actually play for it? Do they have the time? They just had reset. JB is maybe the strongest person on the side of 200 Bandits. He will teleport very far away. So there's a good 10 seconds for Belfast Storm to play the fight.
200 Bandits need to wait. A lovely stun from Limsey. Maybe forces the issue, but 200 Bandits are holding the line. Committal deep into the backline.
Okay.
Steal from Lunkifer gets the Dragon, but that's not a big one just yet. Lots of stuns from Kenny. Is it enough to follow up? Out comes the Crescent Guard, and 200 Bandits struggling a little bit as Lunkifer finally makes its way into the backside, and the Seeker's Arm Guard from JB as the Chaos Storm expands. Triple kill for Lunkifer. Limsey, the last Belfast Storm member left alive. That one went down to the wire, Rev, but it's still the Bandits coming out on top.
And I still think that Kenny was the one to start it all. He struggled to get on the other side. Sandax tried to body block the whole, what's it called, blast cone, and it's the big giga cone, or how they call it when it's the Chemtech Drake, but he managed to get his way there, got 4 people Magnet Storm, and then it was so easy. A piercing arrow to rule them all, spin to win, get the storm, whatever you want to call it. 200 Bandits together with a steal dominate one more fight.
And that was a tough one, man. Belfast Storm are vicious team fighters, but they couldn't quite keep it together. And 200 Bandits, I was watching them going, don't go just yet. You don't have your victor. So many other teams would have just pulled the trigger and been drawn into the fight, but they wait for their critical backliners to show up. And JB is having a blinder of a game in game number 2, handling the repeated dives in top lane with so much cool. And now coming into the fights and laying down the dream Victor Ultimates.
Yeah, that upgrade Chaos Storm, whenever you get the tree set, feels so nice right now. He's also very close. I think he already has enough cash to complete the Zhonya's Hourglass as well, to make sure that the broken, whatever it's called, will not remain broken forever.
Yeah.
And now
he timed it so well in the fight, right? Having that extra tool is so big. And it's, shades of game 1 with the Kindred ults and the Renata ults. If you don't get that perfect engage and 200 Bandits survive that first wave, it tends to go pretty badly for you after that point.
Can I ask a random question, or like phenomenally random question? Isn't jungle supposed to be a weak economy role?
I mean, that's what junglers like to tell me. That, know, that they don't get any gold and champions are weak and they get flamed all the time. And
wait.
Hold up, Loopy. Catching Synapse slipping in the bot lane. Looks for those Qs. Getting the run around right now from Ambessa. The 2 most slippy and slidey top laners in the game. But Loopy trying desperately to get in range. He's getting pretty low himself. His ults come off and Synapse is getting the grasp on. Sidesteps the Q. Single digit HP. But does Loopy have it in him? Lunkifer on top side has isolated Dunlosi as the bot lane fight continues. And Synapse with a crazy outplay in the 1 versus 1. But it doesn't change the fact that top lane is still a nightmare.
The new Cassandra is better than the old Cassandra. Who would have guessed, ladies and gentlemen? But on the other side, it's Lunkifer's game. He gets Protection's flash immediately. No, there's no way to stick, but Protection couldn't get any chances. And although Synapse may get that inner turret, get more goal for his team, they're bleeding so much on the other side.
This is a wacky one, Rev. This is a wacky game that we're looking at here in game number 2. 200 Bandits would love to sew up the 2-0. This Baron would give them the ticket to do so. Dunlosi just off the fountain. It's not the fastest Baron take of all time. Remember, it's Lethality Varus, and JB, I think, is more concerned with what Protection is doing. As the TP is coming in deep from Synapse, the gravity field comes down, but then ults onto Elendil. This Ambessa has nowhere to go! No buttons to press, and the flashless Seri follows soon after. It's a double for the Varus. Limsey round the corner has no more options. And 200 Bandits meet BFS in the river for the fight and turn back for the Baron.
Oh, this fight is like a good South Park episode as Kenny finds the way to save the day, create the space, and then ends up dying. It doesn't even matter. He's done the job. The bar is up, but Danlossi is looking for a way to spoil the bar. There's no vision for him. He's just
Has to be
calculating.
it. He is calculating, he's timing. He's got the flash to get in there if he needs be. He's got a vision plant to proc if he can get to it. But he's just going on vibes. Drops the wind, becomes lightning as the Baron goes lower and lower. Dunlosi, if you want to go to Manchester, you've got to secure this one. And he hasn't found it. He's got the kill on Varus, but that's not the kill he wanted. Baron still in the pockets of the bandits.
Oh, 4-man Baron for the bandits, and that may be the final nail on the coffin. It doesn't even matter if the Varus doesn't get it. He's always going to be with the rest of his team, and they can now select how they want to approach the rest of the game. Thing is, the Drake is up, Danlossi is dead, but I'm not sure you want to fight this or you just want to pressure some lanes as 200 bandits.
Storm are still stepping up aggressively. They don't seem deterred by the fact that they have no jungler around a smiteable objective. They can't find the stun onto Kenny. The 5 versus 4 seems to be breaking out. 200 bandits see no reason why they wouldn't just get stuck in. Lunkerford flashes in with a double knockup as Limsey has to flash to safety. Protects around the corner. Has not yet been attacked, but is caught in the gravity field. Gets away from the Chaos Storm. Is doing what they can. It's a shutdown, but it's also a trade. And BFS, they do seem to be wasting an awful lot of time right now for 200 bandits. Synapse flashes away to safety, low but still alive. Sundax with a hook onto terrain as Kenny around the corner crashes down into the stun, serves himself up to die at the hands of Flimsy as Dunlosi comes around the corner. The fight is still over, to be clear, but it's certainly closer than it could have been.
Yeah, and now Danlossi is also up. I don't think he can contest the Drake. He's on the wrong side of the map to manage to try and steal it. But you've gotten away 2 more Barons off the map. The Barons is only a Luppy, not the greatest split pusher with this Cassante and on Lunkerford, who would prefer to stay hidden in the jungle, would prefer to look for those flanks. So Belfast Storm have managed to weather the storm for this time around. They do win 2 more minutes for themselves. But let's look at this replay again as Elendil. He didn't want to try and secure the Baron with the team. He wanted to deal as much damage to Danlossi as possible, but he's also like 300, 400 HP strong. That means he's under dire straits. Oh, 13 HP. But the Q smite from Lunkerford doesn't miss.
Well, Loopy, caught in a 1 versus 2, does have the Chemtech Soul, which keeps him alive, but not quite enough. Synapse will pick up another freebie in the bot side. But yes, a very, very fine margin on the Baron right there. That could have been a hero steal for Dunlosi and another way for Belfast Storm to get back in the game. That being said, they're not that far behind. 3,000 gold at 30 minutes is not a huge deal. The Chemtech Soul, while pretty nice for champions like Cassante, isn't hugely impactful for the rest of the roster. So BFS, with a scaling Syndra, with protection starting to get online with these items, definitely has tools to keep this game alive, but the fights just need to go a little better for them.
I mean, I like the individual Drakes more than I like the Soul right now, because all that tenacity works very nicely versus the Syndra, versus the Ambessa with her slows, Xin Zhao, of course the whole of Nautilus, maybe bar the ultimate. So that's still pretty nice to have for them. You do get some gold value on that, I think, especially on the Wukong, if you manage to go in, because he's the one with the greatest lead. There's half an item lead on the ADC, like a little rat road lead in the mid lane, but there's a whole item over Danlossi. Lunkerford has been on excellent form today. I think he tries to punch in some tickets for Manchester. He just waits for some last details.
Yeah, dude's already bought his train tickets and just really doesn't want to lose the money at this point. Playing like a man possessed, like a man who's already put down a mortgage on the house to afford the public transport in this country. 10, 3, and 13 on the Wukong. It was a slower start, not quite the rocket ship that he had in the Kindred game in game number 1, but once he got there in the mid and late game, he has been crushing it in these fights. 100 CS up to boot. Never mind the kills.
Yeah, how are you flame horizoning in the jungle?
Wukong.
Yeah, Wukong. I mean, Xin Zhao is not the greatest clear in the world as well, but still, it's that's impressive to say the least. I would be pretty disappointed if 200 Bandits end up winning the series and he doesn't get the whole MVP, because he is doing so much carrying.
Yeah, they have the wave coming in on topside. No Baron to keep the wave alive just now, but BFS don't have the biggest range set. Limsey kind of has to do a lot of the legwork right there. can thin the wave out. Seems like nobody from 200 Bandits is interested in 1v1ing Synapse anymore. They've all had a go at it, and no one's had a lot of fun.
Yeah, especially if you allow the Xante ult to expire, all that extra sustain that the public execution provides Ambessa is getting very, very hard to deal with. Now, Lunkafa, without his ultimate, I don't want to say half the champion, but it's getting harder and harder for him to do what he wants to do to the enemy backline. They're losing the bot lane inhibitor tower, and they're still not pressuring the mid lane inhibitor, so Synapse may be doing some serious damage here in the bot lane.
200 Bandits not able to get a foothold on the BFS side of the map as Loopy is getting diced up by Synapse right here. The turret could not be saved, and half his HP lost for the pleasure. So BFS very happy coming out of that short passage. Gets the turret off the map. Synapse still proving to be a pretty unanswerable threat. 200 Bandits are going to have to isolate him, try and pick him off, or at least drag BFS into a bigger fight. 40 seconds to the Baron could be the choice. 2 minutes for Elder, another option. And at this point, I feel like the game is going to go to one of them, right? There's just too much on the line, too big of a margin of error for either side to see the sloppiness.
And now Synapse also reaching that 4-item power spike, getting the Sterak's Cage. That's more than nasty for him. That's extra survivability. That's harder for 200 Bandits to make sure that he explodes the moment he teleports in. And nobody, once again, goes and answers the waves. They are too scared. They want to press on the other side of the map. But Baron still needs 7 seconds to spawn. And then with the Lethality Virus, you're not really the fastest team in getting all those chunky neutral objective Victor must do so much of the carrying. But if both Storm aren't ready to answer, they may be in for a nasty surprise.
He's going to get spotted here on the other side of the wall. What's he going to do with this one? He's been stunned up. So far, he's going to do nothing. He's just going to die. But they've caught protection on one side, who aggressively steps forward, misses the last critical Qs and falls to JB. And with Zeri down, the Chaos Storm is now hunting Belfast back into their jungle. Again, it's tight. It's not conclusive. It's a 1-for-1 across the board right there. Synapse is still running rings around Loopy, looking for this inhibitor. Won't have the time to complete it. Everyone else popping the backs, as you say, Rev. And overall, we don't really learn much out at the end of that one, but Protection does lose both summoners.
Yeah, that's so dangerous for him right now to play the game. He's getting outranged by everything, like the whole Wukong combo, Trages, Protection's range. Kenny can flash in because he has his flash up. He didn't spend anything. And now the wave, he's kind of equalized. They have half a minute before Elder Drake spawns, and suddenly this game becomes an absolute nail-biter.
200 Bandits go straight onto the Baron. They, in fact, do not waste a second as BFS were getting some vision in the Elder Dragon River, but they completely see the control of the Baron pit, Rev, and they have no answer. One down. 200 Bandits happy with that. If they choose, they can simply avoid the question of the Elder unless BFS really force their hand here.
But I think they will. I think they will. If they get the Elder, you can't really dive the enemy team. You just...
What for protection? Going aggressively into Kenny with no flash! And goes down to a legendary Wukong! And out comes the victor! What is a Belfast Storm to a Chaos Storm? And the 200 Bandits again wipe the fight. Protection goes temporarily insane and may have just thrown the whole series away, Rev.
And that goes to show how a wrong right click can ruin the whole game, Belfast Storm. We're holding on tooth and nail, but Protection forgot that he hasn't got his flash, he hasn't got his ultimate, his barrier, and Kenny seizes the opportunity with no second thought, immediately winning the fight for 200 Bandits.
Abandoned to watch the Nexus fall, less of a heist, Rev, and more of a back alley mugging from 200 Bandits. 2-0. The game score, and game 2 certainly had us on the edge of our seats for a long old time, but ultimately BFS cracked under the pressure, and 200 Bandits book their spot in the grand finals against Venom Crest.
Yeah, sometimes it's good to have some of that fresh blood, but you can see how the nerves build up and how the, tenure tends to work better in all those situations. There's no age limit in esports, I think. I think you only get better like a fine, grape juice. So, congrats. Like, was fully deserved by 200 Bandits. They performed masterfully.
Absolutely. They did not seem knocked by that loss at the hand of Venom Crest in the upper bracket. They have dropped down and summarily tossed Belfast Storm out of the playoffs. It will be a well-deserved and impressive third place for Belfast Storm, especially with such a strong top side, taking out Broad, but could not defeat the Bandits today. We're going to go to a short break before that, and we'll be back with an interview with one of the victorious 200 Bandits members, so stick around for that. Thank you very much, Rev. This was a short and sweet and a rip-roaring second game, and an impressive 2-0 win for 200 Bandits. So don't go anywhere, everybody. We'll see you back here in just a couple minutes.
So hold our heads up high and beat the drum to what we love. Risk the fall, or we have felt it all come crashing down from far above. Stars are rising, countless worlds colliding. Only one will take it all. Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we make the final call? We are the ones to ignite the darkened skies. The champions of the world that we defy. A soul ray of the few who rise up high, and we all fight at the last light. Oh.
We're back. We've had our lower bracket final, and now standing victorious with me here, 200 Bandits mid laner JB Jones. JB, feeling good after that one? As fast as you expected?
I was expecting more of a fight, to be honest, but
Yeah.
better that it's a quickie.
Right. The Belfast Storm we saw versus Broad and Friends was a big surprise. And it's clear they gave absolutely everything in that series. I was expecting a little more today. Were they sort of on the range you're expecting? Or how did it become a walkover? Did you know from draft? Was it the early plays? What
I
gave
mean,
it away?
I was more surprised that Prod and Friends allowed them to get Maokai, Azir, Jinx, Nautilus 2 times in a row. Like, how disgusting is that?
It is the
That-
Belfast special.
That's
We gotta
actually
give it
crazy that you allowed them to get such comfort and like such a insane late game scale and come 2 times in a row. Like,
We had to hit Dunlosey's pocket picks though. Absolutely
Yeah,
essential.
you have to ban the
Definitely
fucking
not.
Vi and the Corki. That's way more important. But yeah, no. I mean, they did beat us in the regular season actually, but I think
Yeah,
back then we had like a horrendous draft. So
that's all right.
I
It can
was-
take times to get it together. It's playoffs, and that's
Yeah.
where it counts.
yeah, exactly.
Talking of playoffs, this means you're coming to Manchester. Are you excited? Are you looking forward to it?
I'm definitely excited. It would be the first time I'm playing on stage, so that's definitely fun. Plus, I'm actually gonna get a buff because I imagine my PC there is gonna be better than my PC at home. So I won't get fucking FPS drops every 3 seconds while I'm playing.
The struggle indeed. All right, so we're talking more than 20 FPS Victor Gaming when you drop that Chaos
Yeah.
Storm.
Yeah, for sure. Like I'll actually be able to play out a full team fight instead of getting 80% of a team fight every time.
I feel it. It's a real struggle. Your opponents there will be Venom Crest. Do you have thoughts on how that's going to go? You don't have to leak the strats to me, but maybe like an impression they left from their strong run through the regular season and playoffs?
True. I know. I think it's a bit of a similar situation as with like Belfast and Broad, where it's like we like fought Venom well in the the league game, and then we kind of shit the bed in playoffs, right? In the first, what is it, like upper bracket semifinal or whatever.
Yep. It was a
But,
struggle.
yeah, I think there were some some outside circumstances that made it such a one-sided series. So I think we'll definitely play them closer this time. And I'm also
Okay.
curious to see how they'll handle their Champions Bowls, because it's going to be fearless, right? And I
Fearless best of
imagine,
5.
yeah, and I imagine some of their people are going to have a bit of a Champion Bowl issue if it goes all the way. So we'll see.
All right, fans in Twitch chat throughout the series, like, JB, best mid in UKL 4 Nations. You're going to go up against Air. You feel confident?
I definitely know who is the person saying that I'm the best. I know who's in chat saying that. I'm definitely feeling fine against him. I think it's kind of I think was definitely a thing against our first Bro and Friends series, where I think because they had a new mid laner, right? He definitely checked my OP.gg and he was like, "Oh, this guy is fucking dog shit, 0 LP bastard, negative win rate. Let me pick Cassidy into it." And I just kept him
the
every game.
confidence
Yeah.
move.
And then I just kept him every game because my solo queue OP is a bit deflated. Let's put it like that. So I think
It's,
I'm confident
if
that
you're
I'll
going to
be
win
able
a best of 5, that LP is secondary, not primary.
So no,
It's been fantastic to have you over from where me and Trajan have run into you before in the Open Tour Benelux from the ESLOL. And we've loved having you in the 4 Nations. We're so excited to see you at finals. JB, thank you so much and congratulations for this evening. You are in grand finals.
yippee! I'm excited to go.
It's going to be a wicked old time. And if you at home haven't registered your interest yet and want to come up to Manchester, get onto our Twitter, x.com/the UKEL. Our registration link is open there. Doesn't require entry and is completely free, but it does let us know how many of you are planning to come. All right. Thanks, JB. We are going back over to the desk. It's me on the desk. It's crazy how this works out.
He's back again.
It's always me, isn't it? Oh.
We can't escape.
JB's super confident about
Clearly.
the way it went tonight, and I also expected a bigger fight from Belfast Storm.
Yeah, I mean, we obviously all came in saying like, yeah, 2-1 Belfast Storm, and some of us were more confident. I'll be clear. I said I wasn't confident from the start, right? Like, I want that to go out there just so everybody's aware. Like,
I
but
think what we'll discuss before we start, because it's not the best narrative, it's not the most conclusive. It's like tonight's probably gonna hurt. I thought it was going to be closer and messier with like one side of the maps wrestling with another, and we saw a little bit of that with signups at the end, and it still hurt because we saw a fantastic Belfast Storm up against Broad and Friends. Bloxer, what's their consolation taken away from this evening?
I mean, we've said it kind of from the beginning. This roster looked like it was gonna be top four, maybe fourth best in the league. I think 3 is pretty good for them. It's gonna sting. You're gonna want to go to the live finals. You want to be in the grand finals, get another crack at Venom Crest. Everybody does. But if you're Belfast Storm, at least from my perspective, I think this is a job well done. A couple changes maybe in the off season, or just some more time together as a roster. And I think that the core of what they've got going on here is really good. I've been incredibly impressed with Protexion the whole year. Very, very fun to watch him play the whole way through. I mean, in this game as well, we got to see a great look from Synapse as well. He's been around forever, but you know, it's always good to see him doing well. I'm very happy with what we have gotten to see out of Belfast Storm. We did want it to be closer in this one, but I gotta be honest, I think it's a season well done.
Well, you can't argue with that. It is a bittersweet ending.
Mm.
The Belfast Storm. Tessa, anything you're looking for 200 Bandits that they have to bring on the day to stand a chance against Venom Crest?
I think they've got to clean up a little bit here because we saw some mistakes that even in that second game we saw Belfast Storm take advantage of. We saw some opportunities that I think Venom Crest will blow open a game if given the opportunity to do the same. And you just got to make sure, okay, we can't make those same kinds of mistakes or we will get blown up. Things have to tighten up a good bit. It's a good win today, but you still got to clean up the edges.
All right, Block. So when it comes to cleaning up, you got your eye on something.
I mean, a summoning circle, some prayers, like I don't know. This team has not lost a single game all year. And like I love the idea that, you know, after all of this victory, they're sitting on their high horse and they get taken down by 200 bandits who have had way rockier of a split. I just don't see it happening. It felt like when we first jumped in and looked at the rosters, I was like, yeah, this is Venom Crest's league to lose. Maybe Broad and Friends can really, you know, go toe to toe. Well, Broad and Friends collapsed in on themselves. Venom Crest, they're yet to have done that, and I do not know if 200 Bandits can overcome the absolute titans of the league that are Venom Crest right now.
So what I'm hearing is not only do they have to steal it and get away with it, it's got to be a little bit of land magic as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they're gonna need to channel the land gods to be able to win this one.
All right. And on that note, none of us got our predictions right this evening. Belfast Storm, what a season. Not quite this time, but hey, maybe in spring. To conclude winter, please join us on Saturday, the 22nd of March, live and in person at Pixel Bar Manchester. From 2 o'clock, our best of 5 will be underway. You'll find myself there, some other wizards from the production team, and our casters doing a fantastic job of bringing you our first live event in years. I've been Temporal, Thousand Eyes and Blocks, so thank you so much for this evening.
Yeah, happy to be here. It was a short game, but I still exciting nonetheless.
I'm disappointed in the lack of Warwick. Let's go next.
It's the tragedy, isn't it? 200 Bandits, you got a mandate now. You got to get that Ambessa Warwick back going. We've had a lovely time. It's been short and sweet. We'll see you this Saturday. Good night.